Hey everybody, around here this week has been all about hydrangeas, and there's a couple reasons for that. One being the annual plant season is kind of winding down. Also our perennials, trees and shrubs, they're pretty organized right now and they're kind of in their places and in a good place for us to be able to really focus on the hydrangeas. And hydrangeas are pretty important to us. They're one of our biggest crops. We grow about 80% of the hydrangeas we sell ourselves, and then about 20% we get in from other growers. So that allows us to be carrying between 45 and 50 different varieties of hydrangeas at any one time. It also means that we have a lot of them. So just in this area right around here, there's over 2,000 hydrangeas. So I can just do a 360 and I can look at over 2,000 different hydrangea plants. And if you're going to have that many plants in your care, you have to, number one, really love hydrangeas, and number two, you have to have a bit of a relationship with them. So you have to be able to understand or kind of read them and find, because they're going to tell you exactly what they need at different points in the season. So about, maybe over a month ago, they just started emerging with leaves, and when that happens, that's our cue that we need to give them fertilizer. So for us, that means giving them a time release fertilizer. We use a 14-14-14, and we just add that in, and then we just kind of let the watering do its thing and gradually release those nutrients into it. We don't have to do too much between then and about now. Now we're really seeing them put on a lot of growth, lots of good foliage on there, and that's the reason why we're doing a 14-14-14. It's a kind of a general purpose one, but it does encourage kind of leaf growth and stronger stems, and that's what we really want out of these plants right now. So now that they're putting on this growth, they are telling us a couple things. So when the leaves first emerge, they're going to be kind of like a lime or a light green color, and then they'll quickly darken once they're in the sun a little bit. Well, if those leaves take a little bit longer than we expect to turn green, or if the leaves are a little bit smaller than we like them to be, that's usually a sign that they need some more nutrition or more nutrients. So that means more fertilizer. And this is the perfect time for us to do that. Sorry, there's mosquitoes all over the place. So if I kind of do a little dance, that means it's because of the mosquitoes. Anyway, so like right now, perfect time for us to do it. They're telling us that they need it because there are some of the hydrangeas that, kind of we're noticing that they need some nutrition. So we do what's called the full spa treatment. So that means they not only get another dose of that 14-14-14 time release fertilizer, they also get a little bit of Sluggo to protect them from slugs. And then we also take every single plant and kind of review them and look at them, because a lot of them need a little bit of trimming, some shaping. We make sure that there's not any really bad branches in there, and kind of just go through each one. That's also when we evaluate the leaves. So that's when we might notice that maybe one is a little bit more of a light green or a lime green, or those leaves are a little bit small. In that situation, those get a special dose of a 14-14-14, kind of an instant release or top dress fertilizer. We give them that, and the amazing thing with that is within 2 waterings, you see a difference. So a lot of times that's 48 hours later, they just completely transform, and we really see, nice lush green leaves on them again. So it's just really incredible to watch that. Also at that time, we're looking for what's called chlorosis, and that is usually more of a yellowing on the leaves, and that's a signal that the plant isn't able to take up enough moisture. And that's because the pH of our water around here is such that there are certain plants that are going to be affected by it where they just aren't able to take up the nutrients. So we give them a chelated iron, a dose of that, and that allows the plant to then start taking up the nutrients again. And those recover really quickly after getting their iron as well. So those are just kind of little things that we're doing right now, just to make sure. We're also looking for any kind of bug damage or any kind of thing that might be going on. If there are any bugs that we notice, we do have to treat them with insecticide. Fortunately, we've been lucky so far. I shouldn't say that because I don't want to curse it. Last year I had my spider mite issue in the one greenhouse. Let's hope we never have to do that again, because that was a nightmare. Anyway, moving on. So panicle hydrangeas, we do that kind of same process with. We do the same thing with the arborescence, but one other thing that we do with arborescent varieties, and those are the ball types, the Incrediballs, the Invincibles, the Annabelles. We treat these a little bit differently. So they are already starting to bloom in many cases. So you can see the blooms are starting. And one thing that we're going to do though is that about half of the plants we're going to cut them down. And we usually try to cut them down before they get to this point. So we select the plants with the strongest stems and we leave those. So those are going to be we're going to let those bloom. But the other plants we cut back, and usually we're going to cut them back, say 4 to 6 inches or so. It kind of depends on where the leaf nodes are. We want to make sure we always have those 2 leaf nodes. And then you'll notice like these were cut last week, and you can already see the new growth. This is going to all fill in. So this allows us to do a couple things. So one, we're going to have plants blooming at different times. So they're going to be at different stages of development. And so customers can come in at different times and they'll be seeing, some that are, flowers are farther along, others are going to be just starting. And so it extends our bloom time, and it just helps, I think, for customers. But then also, it also means that we're going to have some different habits. So the ones we don't cut are going to be a little bit taller. Meanwhile, the ones that we do cut, they're going to be shorter but fuller. So they're going to have a different look from the other ones. And it just is kind of nice for customers to be able to see the difference. So that's kind of a little thing that we do with those. They don't look real pretty when we first trim them, but they quickly start to fill in. So that's kind of our little secret with the arborescens. The arborescens aren't the only ones that are starting to get ready to flower. We're seeing buds on the quick fire hydrangeas. This is consistently the very first panicle hydrangea to flower and change color. However, it is getting a run for its money. This is the early evolution hydrangea, and this is brand new for us this year, so we're giving it a try, and it is already starting to send up blooms, and that's what it's known for, early blooms. But what it's also known for is its size. It stays right around 1 to 2 feet tall and wide. That makes it probably the smallest hydrangea that we have available to us, so it stays nice and tidy. We're trying to figure out if the flower is going to be more like a pinky winky or more like the quick fire. It's kind of a cone-shaped lace cap type of flower, so it's a little bit different than some of the other panicle varieties. The buds are starting on the Bobo hydrangea. That's another nice early bloomer. Stays pretty compact as well, so it's another smaller one. Buds are starting to form on the Quickfire Fab hydrangea as well. This one is in the Quickfire family, but it's very different from the original Quickfire in that it has a much more traditional panicle-shaped flower. Gets a really nice bright pink, and it's a nice full-size hydrangea as well. And I have to say, I love that the new varieties are early bloomers, because when you're in a northern climate like we are, our season is really short, so getting those extra 2 or 3 weeks of blooms really makes a difference, and it lets us enjoy our hydrangeas even more. The macrophyllas, those are the ones that are usually pink and can be turned blue. Those don't usually need a whole lot of trimming. We're just going to kind of tidy them up. We'll give them their fertilizer, and that's also if we want to treat them with some of the, aluminum sulfate or sulfite? The stuff that makes them turn blue or green. So if we want some of them blue, we give them a dose of that right now. And we actually did that once already, and then we'll do another one. And then that's usually gonna set them up so that they're gonna have that color change. So that way we can have half the stock one color and half the stock the other color. And that only is on most of the macrophyllas. It's not, you can't do that with a paniculata or panicle variety. You can't do it on the arborescens. It's just on those macrophyllas. So I did want to show you kind of some of the hydrangea trees, because that was my other big job today, as I brought out the hydrangea trees. So let me tell you, I am totally sore because I was putting in all these stakes, and that's kind of a big job, because let me tell you, the wind can really do a number on hydrangea trees, even in your yard when they're planted. But when they're not planted, they are going to flop all over the place if we don't have them secured. So we do our best to get them really secure. But I wanted to show you some of the hydrangea trees that we need to do a little extra work on. So I'm going to go over and show you on a berry white hydrangea tree. So this hydrangea tree is actually one of the really short ones. It only is about 2.5 feet in the trunk, so that's a nice kind of tidy one. Sometimes people really want that. And when you first look at it, this looks like it's a pretty good kind of hydrangea. It's kind of growing pretty nice, but at closer inspection, I'm looking at these branches, and they're really quite weak compared to some of the other hydrangeas. And I just know that in a couple weeks, all this plant's going to want to do is flower, 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 and that's going to be a problem, because if these stems aren't strong enough, it's definitely going to break branches, and it's just going to set the plant back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this back quite a bit, and it might kind of seem foolish to do that, but in about 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to really see a difference in why I would want to do that. So let me show you exactly how I do this. So let me just move the camera. Okay, so let's see if I can give you a good view. What I end up doing with these is I want to kind of just trim them back. I want to make sure that each branch has 2 leaf sets. So here's one, hopefully you can see this, 1, 2. I'm going to just trim it there, and that's where I'm going to start. This one here, 1, 2. I could go to the 3rd one, but because these leaves look a little damaged, I'm going to cut that one back all the way. And one thing that happens is once you start this, you kind of have to finish it. Now here's kind of a stray branch. This one's pointing in the wrong direction, so I want that one gone. And then we're going to look at this. I'm looking at, oh, this one's kind of not holding up very well, so that needs to come off. This one, 1, 2, yep, I'm going to cut it off right there. This one here, let's take a look. So it has 1, 2, I'm probably going to go up to the third one on that one. This one I can go here. This one I think I'll go here. And I'm cutting them just above the leaf nodes because I want to make sure, you know, it's going to make them look a little better. Otherwise, what's above the leaf nodes, if I leave like a little stick, it just kind of turns brown and it's not very attractive. So I'm cutting this way back. And I know for some people it's painful to see this much hydrangea getting taken back, especially because it's been working so hard at producing these leaves. But trust me, we're going to want to do this. Now, once we start, even these little ones, I want to make sure and cut them back because those are still going to start producing flowers, and I don't want those little weak branches holding or trying to hold flowers that just are too heavy for them. So that's what I want to do here. Now, when you're at home, you probably don't have to worry about this so much. It's just us as growers, I want to make sure that what you get home is kind of as strong as possible. So if you're getting them from somebody who knows what they're doing, they should be doing this for you so that the plant that you get is already in good shape. But you know, you might find that your plant just needs it. Oh, there's a broken branch, so we're going to pop that off. I'm just going to look back here. Oh, there's one. There's another one there. Okay, so when we kind of come back, you can see quite a difference from when I started. It's really just a little lollipop. It's not looking at its best right now, but trust me, we're going to start seeing growth pretty quickly on these. As is the case with most of my hydrangea videos, it's starting to get dark, so I'm going to have to wind things up, but I did want to give you this little kind of tour. It's just always fun. You can kind of see behind me the different hydrangea trees and all the different hydrangeas, so a little bit of a 360 here, and it's just been a lot of fun. And the pots that we had planted up with annuals, the big giant pots, those are along the driveway as well. So hydrangeas, annuals, lots of stuff blooming, it's just a really great time to be here at the nursery. I'm very lucky. So everybody, I just want to say have a great week, and I'll talk to y'all very, very soon.